So let's talk about using wire pieces in your work and how you can make these pieces quite easily on one of these little type of looms. You can buy them in the Joann stores across the country and maybe some drugstores. They're all over the place. They each come with one of these little hook things that'll help you make them. I'm going to show you how to get those started. This was made here and then I pulled it apart. It would be like this one here was a coil, and then when I took it off, I just pulled it apart so it would be bigger and did some crochet hook stuff around the edge. But the things that I really like are these coils, because in mixed media, they can be used all sorts of ways. This is a silver one, this is brass. These are 28 gauge wire, and you can make them as long as you want them. On here I cast on with a little bit of regular yarn, which could be easier to start. And then these are the circular ones again that are from a larger loom, where I just pulled, once I pull them off, I just straighten them out. I just pull them apart, kind of. So, and this is one that got a little smushed up. So if you do that, if you get them smushed up, what you do is you get a big fat knitting needle and you shove it in here and you open up the spaces. It works really well. Okay, so I'll show you where I used them recently. One of my new sculptures, one of my new steel sculptures, has got different elements, of course, in the digital prints. And in the back of the sculpture, since it's like a 3D sculpture, not only did I do some digital prints on some bent 20 gauge steel, but I use coils to accent the piece and give it more of a 3D look. And I really do like the way this looks. So I'm using them more and more, and I'm trying to figure out all sorts of different ways to do them. So now let me just start you with some brass wire, and we'll see where that goes. Okay, to start this out, I'm going to start with some regular yarn, because then as you pull this down, you have something to not bend the wire with. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I'm just going to make a little loop to start and put it on one of the pegs. This is probably one of the easier ones to learn on. Then you can do all sorts of different things later on. I'm going to take this, which is a little staticky and it doesn't want to go, through the center right here. So now I have that center yarn down here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to make little loops around each of these pegs. I'm not going to make them too tight because then you can't get them off later. So you can see I'm going to go around twice so that I can do my first row. Now you can get into any kind of ways that you want to do this, because you can look all over the internet for videos, which is very helpful. You go to YouTube and I think they call it loom knitting, so you try that out. Okay, now I am going to go all the way around here. I'm going to hook this up and pull it over. Then I'm going to hook this up and pull it over. Then I'm going to hook this up and pull it over. Then I'm going to do this one and this one. And now I have a choice. I just pull this down with this little thing here to kind of keep it down, because it'll eventually go right through the center here. Okay, now I can either do one at a time, which I want to do. I usually do it like this because for me it's faster. It may not be faster when I'm trying to do a video, but for me it's faster. Or you can do it all around all of them again and then just see where it goes to. And you just keep doing this forever and ever and ever. Except for me, I'm not going to do that. I'm only giving something for the wire here to attach to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this piece off right here, because I'm not going to need it anymore, and this is a bad scissors for that. Now what I can do is I can pull it all the way down into here by one of these hooks, if I can get it down there. Well, it's not wanting to go right now, so let's not waste the time. Okay, now I'm going to take my brass, and this is 28 gauge brass. All I'm going to do is wrap my brass around the same way we did before. And now my brass, actually I might want to like loop this a bit so that my brass can be the first stitch and then it could stay where it's supposed to stay. So here I have it, and I pull that over, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. Whoop, I got to go below. Hello. You go below? No, I don't. Sorry. Got you all messed up. I got to take the bottom one off because that's what's leaving. See now, I showed you how you can get really messed up with it at first. You have to have kind of nimble fingers here. So it'll get better because I'm just kind of trying to do this under the camera and do it around. But you can use this technique on all sorts of things to make cording, and it's really very nice when they're done. Okay, so now I've got all my wire. So I'm going to pull this. I do want to get rid of this now. So I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm just going to keep going around because I have my first row, and I'll hold on to that a little bit, and then I'm going to come around and I'm going to do it. There's 2 in a row right there. I just pull it up, and you don't want to make the wire too tight because see, if I get it too tight, it's too hard to take off. So you don't want to make the wire too tight. I'm afraid I'm making this go all over the place and you won't be able to see it. Okay, here we go. You just keep going around and around and around. And it's easier when you're sitting and it's in your lap, and you can just do it where you are, comfortably sitting in a chair. And I'm going to do this for a bit and then show you where it goes to. If you like doing all 4 of them at a time, then you can take the wire around each one of them. And then when you get back to where they're stacked, just take it all the way around and do another row. So now I've got this one a little bit long. So let me show you a couple things. Number one, the reason I was saying it's good to put yarn down here is because I can pull on this and I don't have my fingers pulling on this and squishing it down like I have this squishing down. Okay, so you can see how it's going to come out of the bottom, and you can get it as long as you want. Like one of these here, this is a brass one. This is pretty long. So I could use this, you know, hopefully on something that I need a little bit of stuff to. And then also, if I really wanted to cut it off, I could cut it off and twist the wires wherever it is. Now in here, I'll just show you that what I would do to take these off is I'm going to pull this one over here to one of the ones next to it and just take it off. And then I'll pull this one, well, let's not. Let's pull this one. I really, truthfully, I do them any ways I want to do them. So I'll pull this one over here. I'll stick this one back on top here, and I'll pull this off. Then I'll bring it over here, and I'll pull this one off. And then I'll get all the way down to the end and pull the last one off. It really is just any way you want to do it, because at this point, all I want to do is get this so it doesn't start unknitting itself. So I'll just put this through here, and then I'll just wrap it around, and then it'll stay put. So yes, this is small, but it works. And this is what you can do with these little looms. The other thing that you can do, and I will show you this in knitting because you can see it, I think, a little better than the wire. If you want to say go over the bigger part of this and you want to use this side, if you don't go around, well, if you go around, you get a big coil. But if you don't go around, if you go all the way to where you start here, you go all the way around, then without connecting this to this, you just go back. And then you go back, and then you go back. So now you have a specific piece. And you can see some of these things on YouTube where some really talented knitters are showing you stuff about it, and pick up things you might be able to do with wire, because wire can be used just as the yarn. This is what a coil looks like when it's knitted regularly and it's not wire, because the wire spreads itself out because it doesn't have any weave to the stitch. So then, like I said, this is where I get these coils from, and then I use them and attach them in different ways to some of my artwork.